to look at Reshape, but before that, we need to understand the difference between long and wide data sets. Now, the difference in long and wide data sets will be in terms of how different observations for the same subject are stored. So let's look at in detail what we mean by that. Now, in a long data set, different observations for a subject are stacked on top of each other in separate rows. For example, if we're looking at the data for like different countries, so the different observations for different countries, for like different observations for the same country will be in separate rows. So this will allow for multiple rows for each subject. So let's understand this with an example. In this data set, we have three columns: country, year, and GDP. We can see different observations for Pakistan are in separate rows, right? Like, and for like Pakistan's GDP 1960 is in one row, Pakistan's GDP 1961 is in another row, and so on. So basically, we have multiple rows for each subject, in this case, country. So this is a long form data set where different observations for a subject are in different rows. Now, a wide data set is one where different observations for subject are organized in a wide way, which means that the subject's repeated responses will be in a single row. So for one subject, you will just have one row. So if we want to basically present the same data in wide format, so in that case, what we will have is like, so in this case, now the columns that we will have, I will still have country. Now we'll have a column of GDP underscore year, where you will have such a column for each year in the data set. For example, you'll have a column like GDP underscore 1960, GDP underscore 1961, so on till GDP underscore 1970 for each year in the data set. Because when you're arranging your data in a wide form, a subject's repeated responses will be in one row. So you'll just have one row for Pakistan and all of its observations will be in that row in a wide form. Similarly, there'll be one row for India. So this is the difference between long and wide data sets. In long data sets, you can have multiple rows for a subject storing the different observations for it. In a wide data set, you will only have one row for a subject which will have all of its observations arranged in a wide way.